relationships.
Yeah.
Sex is part of it, but that's not a focus.
But was it a physical relationship where you both were just attracted to each other?
No, there was I don't know.
Hello, beautiful viewers, and welcome back to our Plural Path, where we uncover the raw, emotional truths behind the lives of the Sister Wives cast. I'm Sabrina, and today's story will leave you speechless, because when love, faith, illness, and betrayal collide, what remains is the unfiltered essence of human strength. Jen Sullivan, Meri Brown's longtime friend and companion on Fridays with Friends, broke her silence this month with a gut-wrenching update about her husband Shawn's cancer diagnosis, revealing he was misdiagnosed at first with angiosarcoma, but is actually battling a rare and aggressive form known as Myxoid liposarcoma, one that has already begun to spread. Fans were devastated, not only for Jen, but for the growing list of people connected to the Brown family who've been touched by cancer. Jen, whose presence brought laughter and light to Meri's post-divorce chapters, is now navigating darkness of her own, and she's using her voice to raise awareness, reminding everyone to photograph their skin anomalies and push for second opinions. While Jen fights a battle behind the scenes, Sister Wives Season 19 has put the broken pieces of Kody Brown's polygamist dream center stage. What once was a plural utopia now lies shattered in a trail of regrets, bitterness, and quiet resilience. Meri Brown, the original matriarch of the family, who once stood by Kody's side with unwavering loyalty, is no longer the silent bystander. After their legal divorce in 2014 to allow Kody to marry Robyn and adopt her children, Meri endured a spiritual marriage that turned cold and hollow, further crumbling after her catfishing scandal and Kody's emotional abandonment. Her eventual request for a church release in 2022 ended their 32-year-long union. And although Kody bizarrely cried while helping her move to Utah in a moment captured in a November 2024 episode, Meri walked away with more clarity than heartbreak. Kody's strange admission in Season 19 that Meri is his favorite ex-wife only stoked the fury of Janelle and Christine, who, like Meri, chose to confront the past instead of romanticizing it. Janelle especially has been vocal about her disappointment, famously calling Kody a failure in plural marriage during the June 2025 Talal, and later relocating to North Carolina to sever all contact with Kody and Robyn. Christine, now blissfully married to David Woolley, hasn't looked back since her 2021 escape. Their bond, however, remains unshakable. Christine even sent Janelle a handwritten note on a rainy Maine morning, encouraging her to lead with her heart. Yes, Maine, because Janelle's journey of healing took her far from the sun-baked, dust of Flagstaff to the serene shores of Camden, where she now lives simply, freely, and for herself, renting a cottage by the harbor, sipping coffee at dawn, volunteering in gardens, and studying sustainable agriculture. Janelle is no longer one of Kody's wives. She is a woman reborn, writing, dreaming, even building plans for a women's cooperative to empower other single mothers. There, she met Daniel, a widowed carpenter who never watched a second of Sister Wives and never cared to. He simply saw her, Janelle, for the first time in decades. Meanwhile, a parallel story unfolds far from Maine in the desert outpost of Juniper Hills, where Elias Halbrook and his 4 wives, Mara, Celeste, June, and Talia, struggle to hold their plural family together. Mara, the first and once proud wife, now feels invisible. Celeste, the creative soul, feels unheard. June, the fixer, is breaking under the emotional weight. And Talia, the youngest and newest, finds herself resented for the attention Elias lavishes upon her. One explosive family dinner turns into a reckoning, not led by Elias, but by the women, with Mara boldly declaring, "We built this house for love, not loneliness." The wives begin meeting in secret, finally confronting each other with honesty, pain, and mutual understanding. In a historic shift of power, they choose to redefine their marriage, not to be centered around Elias, but around autonomy, equity, and respect. A year later, they are thriving, Mara builds a retreat for women. Celeste publishes poetry. June runs a solar company. And Talia studies family psychology. Elias, no longer a patriarch, learns to listen. Back in Flagstaff, the Brown family cul-de-sac stands like a crumbling monument to lost ideals. Meri, once the first and most faithful wife,
I feel like you've
sits
buried
alone
the
in a
lead
house
all
full
of these
memories,
years
watching
that you
Cody
and
play
Cody
house
had
with
a
Robin,
way
while the
more
other women
physical
drift into
connection.
new lives. One day, Janelle calls a family meeting. As lemonade sits untouched on the table, old wounds spill open. We used to fight for each other, Christine says softly, not against each other. Mary's voice shakes. I didn't leave. I stayed even when everyone stopped knocking on my door. Robin insists it wasn't personal, but Meri responds, it felt personal. It still does. The silence is louder than any argument. Later that night, Cody arrives, bewildered. What is this? He asks. It's about you, Meri. Replies, about us. About what used to be a family. But perhaps Christine says it best. This family doesn't need more wives. It needs more truth. In the days that follow, something remarkable happens. Robin visits Meri, tears in her eyes. I should have been there for you, she whispers. I just wanted to fit in again, Meri replies. For one moment, the competition fades and two women sit in the wreckage, trying to rebuild sisterhood. Eventually, Meri buys a cottage in Utah and opens the Reclaimed Heart, a retreat for women seeking emotional renewal. Cody visits once. They speak not in bitterness, but in closure. Mary's story, though rooted in heartbreak, is blossoming into something new. Sisterhood, it turns out, doesn't need Cody to survive. It only needs truth, healing, and a space where women, long silenced, long sacrificed, can finally be heard. And that, dear viewers, is the real story behind the headlines. Don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth looks at the powerful women reclaiming their paths. I'm Sabrina, and this was our Plural Path. Asterisk, as the echo of heartbreak and defiance from Camden to Juniper Hills faded into a steady rhythm of healing. Another storm brewed on the horizon, a storm that would shake the foundations of what was left of the Brown legacy. It wasn't just about Meri finding her voice, or Janelle reclaiming her identity, or Christine finally breathing without asking for permission. No, this part of the journey unraveled the myth that Cody Brown had control anymore. 'Cause beneath the fragments of shattered trust, Jen Sullivan's battle at home grew more intense. Her husband, Shawn, now deep into radiation therapy, suffered setbacks that no one saw coming. Jen, once the cheerful sidekick on Meri's Instagram lives, was now using her platform not for sister wives chatter, but to educate, grieve, and push back against the silence surrounding sarcoma. Fans watched her unravel online, not with weakness, but in a raw, dignified pain that made people remember she wasn't just Meri's friend. She was a wife watching her soulmate slip away in a fight that felt like it had no clear rules. As Shawn's diagnosis progressed, Jen's posts became less about updates and more about legacy pictures of them holding hands in hospital rooms. Sunrise walks when he could still stand, and heartbreaking captions like today, he forgot my name for 5 minutes. I remembered it for both of us. While Jen dealt with cancer at home, different disease, one of manipulation and patriarchal delusion, continued infecting the ruins of Flagstaff's spiritual war zone. Cody, now entrenched in a strange domestic cocoon with Robin and her children, began spiraling. No longer distracted by managing multiple households. He had only one mirror left to face: Robin's relentless expectations and his own collapsing ego. Their once synergistic bond became suffocating, with Robin constantly pressuring him to fix what couldn't be fixed. Her dream of a united Plural family now clashed with the lonely truth that she had won a man.
Sure. Yeah.
Then why don't you allow each other into each other's beds and make up?
Ask her. I don't know the answer to that.
And no one else wanted anymore. Cody, isolated from Janelle, Christine, and now emotionally detached from even Meri, began lashing out, not with fists, but with words, guilt trips, and public claims that the other wives gave up on the covenant. The irony wasn't lost on fans. How could he accuse others of betrayal when his love came with a pecking order and conditions? Meanwhile, Meri's retreat in Utah, the reclaimed heart, flourished. It became a sanctuary for women escaping not just physical relationships, but spiritual captivity, the kind of captivity Meri knew all too well, after decades in a marriage that starved her of affection. One visitor, a woman named Lana, broke down during a group session and whispered, "I watched your show for years, and I stayed because I thought suffering meant I was holy. But seeing you walk away saved me." Meri, shaken and humbled, realized that the pain she once hid in silence had become a torch for others in the dark. Christine, thriving in her marriage with David Woolley, expanded their home to include a blended family counseling program, teaching children and adults alike how to rebuild trust. And Janelle, back in Camden with Daniel, launched her first organic farming coop, complete with a small cafe called Sow and Reap, where women could sit, write, dream, and eat from the land they worked with their own hands. Back in Flagstaff, Robin's daughter Aurora, once sheltered and fiercely loyal, began questioning the narrative she'd grown up with. Aurora, now a young adult, had spent years watching her mother cry over the family not accepting her, and Cody weaponizing religion to excuse emotional abandonment. But now she saw through it. After attending therapy quietly on her own, Aurora confronted Robin and Cody in a bombshell family meeting in June 2025. One that fans only found out about later when a clip leaked online. "You keep saying everyone left us," she said, trembling, but firm. "But maybe it's because they weren't allowed to be people in this house. They were only allowed to orbit you." The clip went viral within hours. Suddenly, Robin's maternal grip didn't look like loyalty. It looked like control. And Cody's teary-eyed laments weren't empathy. They were manipulation. Behind the scenes, TLC executives debated whether the show could even continue. Legal tensions had flared again over Flagstaff land left empty, properties Cody promised, but never transferred. And rumors swirled that one of the ex-wives, or even Aurora herself, might file suit over misleading financial transactions. The facade of Unity crumbled in real time, and the network scrambled to edit upcoming footage, fearing that the once beloved patriarch now looked like a delusional relic. As July waned and Shawn's condition worsened, Jen posted a final message. Before stepping away from the spotlight, "I'm going to hold his hand through every moment. I don't need likes or comments. I need grace. Please love someone today with your whole heart." It was simple, devastating, and more authentic than anything Cody had said in years. Because while he chased relevance and control, the women, Meri, Janelle, Christine, and yes, even Jen, were building futures rooted in truth, not fantasy. The Sister Wives universe, once sold as a bold experiment in love and faith, now looked more like a case study in what happens when one man believes he is the sun and everyone else is just spinning in his orbit. But the orbit collapsed, and from the wreckage, women rose alone, together, wiser, and finally free. Stay tuned for part 3, where we dig deeper into the shocking Flagstaff legal battle, Aurora's unexpected next move, and why insiders believe the Brown family secrets are far from over. As the dust of emotional revelation settled and the once-silenced women forged new paths away from the shadow of Cody Brown. The next chapter in this unraveling saga slammed into the Brown family with the force of a gavel, because what was once whispered in fan forums and hinted in confessionals finally exploded into legal reality. The land in Flagstaff, the supposed promise of unity, had become the battlefield where lies, entitlement, and manipulation were finally put on trial. For years, Cody dangled property lines like carrots before his wives, promising custom homes for each woman while never delivering. Janelle, especially, had sunk emotional and financial capital in
Each other, and I'm sorry, and I love you, and you'll make up, and you'll move on. But the minute you break up,
into RV life on that very dirt, only to be left with broken dreams and a promise scrawled in dust. But what he didn't anticipate, what none of them did, was that Aurora, The daughter he once claimed as his own, the girl he protected and praised as the purest example of their family's bond, would become the very force that broke him. In a confidential filing that shook Robin to her core, Aurora Jessa Brown submitted legal documents challenging the validity of land rights Cody had shifted under various trusts and agreements, claiming she had been misled about the ownership structure, financial stakes, and emotional coercion involved in the Flagstaff property deals. It wasn't just a lawsuit, it was a reckoning, because Aurora wasn't just demanding clarity, she was demanding accountability. When the news leaked, Robin reportedly collapsed into tears and refused to leave her house for 3 days. Cameras had already stopped rolling, but production sources whispered to fans online that Robin begged producers not to air footage from late 2024, where Aurora could be seen questioning Cody's decisions and pushing back on Robin's narrative of everyone abandoning us. Cody, now visibly thinning, graying, and visibly shaken, told a producer off camera, "I've lost control of everything, even my own daughter." The irony burned because for years, Cody maintained a chokehold on his wives' identities, finances, and even where they could live or love. And now that control had turned to ash in his hands. Jen Sullivan, though absent from public updates as she cared for Shawn during his final days, released one heart-wrenching journal entry that went viral among fans. "Grief doesn't ask who you are. It takes what it wants. But peace, is something you fight for, and I'm learning to fight again." Her words, meant for her husband, echoed through a fandom, watching an empire built on patriarchy implode before their very eyes. Meanwhile, Meri expanded her Utah retreat to include trauma workshops. And Christine quietly funded a legal resource program for women exiting high-demand religious groups, using her own experiences as a roadmap to liberation. Janelle, with dirt under her fingernails and Daniel's unwavering support beside her, gave an interview to a small Maine newspaper that rippled nationally. "We gave Cody every opportunity to lead. What we got was a man who thought being obeyed was the same as being loved." Across state lines, Robin faced her own unraveling, not just emotionally, but financially. Legal documents revealed that a portion of the family trust had been quietly altered in 2018. Allegedly under Cody's instruction, moving assets toward Robin's branch of the family without full consent from the other wives. Now those decisions were under audit, and attorneys involved hinted that there could be multiple counts of misrepresentation. TLC had long since pulled the plug on active filming, but the tapes existed. The raw footage of tense land meetings, awkward silences, gaslighting, disguised as family planning, and Robin's crocodile tears. All of it waiting for the network to decide whether to bury the truth or cash in on the fallout. As for Aurora, her voice shook an empire. In a rare public statement released through her legal team, she wrote, "I love my family. But I was taught that love means telling the truth, even when it breaks your heart." That sentence alone shattered the illusion that Robin had preserved loyalty in her children. Behind closed doors, Robin reportedly begged Aurora to retract, pleading that the world would destroy us if they see this. But it was already too late. Christine and Janelle rallied behind Aurora privately, offering legal guidance and emotional support. And even Meri, though once distant, called Aurora personally and said, "You are braver than all of us were at your age," and that's when it all shifted. No longer was this just the story of 4 women escaping the orbit of one narcissistic man. It was the story of the next generation saying no more. As fall approached and the leaves in Camden turned gold, Janelle walked along the coast with Daniel, her phone buzzing with updates from lawyers. From Christine, from Meri, all of them now connected in a new, invisible way. Sisterhood born not from sharing a man, but from surviving one. Cody, now facing a public perception crisis, a fractured family, and possibly legal consequences, issued a rare press statement declaring, "My family was built on love." This has all been taken out of context, but fans weren't buying it, because the context had always been clear. Love doesn't look like control. Family doesn't look like silence. And leadership doesn't look like fear. As viewers look back on the years of Sister Wives, what once seemed like a bold exploration of plural living now resembled a cautionary tale. A house built on hierarchy and control was bound to collapse under the weight of truth. And in the rubble, women found their voice. Stay tuned for part 4, where the courtroom drama begins. Shocking alliances are formed. And secrets buried deep in the Brown family's foundation are finally dragged into the light. Because this isn't just the fall of a family. It's the uprising of every woman they tried to silence. By the time fall turned to winter and the snow began to dust the jagged rooftops of Flagstaff, the Brown family no longer existed in the form that TLC had once paraded across screens as a revolutionary, a chaotic experiment in love and faith. Instead, they had become the subject of a multi-tiered legal storm that would not only rewrite the narrative of their family, but potentially expose the entire foundation of the Sister Wives brand. Cameras no longer rolled inside Robin's once sacred living room, and Cody